Hello and thanks for joining us on Nationwide. I am Dennis Adigunloyi. Beginning at the National Assembly, the Senate has approved President Bola Tinubu's proclamation of a state of emergency in Rivers State in line with provisions of Section 305 of the Constitution. The approval came after an executive session. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, read out the resolutions. And at the House of Representatives, similarly, have approved the declaration of a state of emergency for Rivers State, along with the 6-month suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, and all elected members of the State Assembly, as announced by President Bola Tinubu. This followed a unanimous voice vote in favor of the presidential proclamation. We'll have details of these developments at the National Assembly in the course of the bulletin. A coalition of opposition political leaders in the country, led by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, says the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State is a subversion of democracy. This was at a media briefing in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf reports.
Gathered here are majorly opposition leaders comprising of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, representatives of other parties including 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi, former governor of Kaduna State Nasir El-Rufai. The coalition believed that the prevailing situation in Rivers State is at variance with the Constitution of Nigeria 1999 as amended.
It's not only the responsibility of the opposition to defend democracy, it's the responsibility of all Nigerians, all of you, to defend democracy.
Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has called for calm and promised to stand with Governor Sim Fubara and the people of Rivers State over the declaration of a state of emergency.
Section 180 of the Constitution is clear as to the tenure of the state governor.
The Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room remains committed to defending democracy and holding the rule of law.
Situation Room, however, called for calm in the face of prevailing circumstances. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has refuted reports of an explosion at the Port Harcourt Refining Company, PHRC, in Rivers State. The company, in a statement by Olufemi Shoneye, Chief Corporate Communications Officer, NNPC Limited, clarified that what occurred was a flare incident, which has since been fully contained. The statement also reiterates that there is no danger or health hazard to staff, the surrounding communities, or the environment. NNPC Limited urges the media and the public to disregard any reports suggesting an explosion at the refinery, as they are entirely false. All right, let's take an early stop now, and we join Port Harcourt's Network Centre, where Dibabri will take us through the next set of reports. Hello, Dibabri.
Harcourt. The newly appointed sole administrator to Rivers State, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, has assured of his commitment to restoring peace in the state. He was speaking shortly after a closed-door meeting with the head of service on arrival at Government House, Port Harcourt. Osina Chisamo has details.
Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas has arrived Rivers State Government House to officially assume duty, following his appointment as the sole administrator in line with President Bola Tinubu's proclamation of state of emergency. He was received by the head of civil service, Judge Weke. Thereafter, he went into a closed-door meeting, after which he informed the media that he will do everything within his powers to restore peace in Rivers State.
I want to thank you also for what you've been doing so far. The other way I just got in here and decided to meet with the head of service and the permanent secretaries and the service commanders. I'm going to have to meet with them to get the formal briefings from all those I met this afternoon. And then I believe it is only proper for me thereafter to have something to say to you all. Port Harcourt is my city. Everything appears calm, though I know that the situation is there, but we just want Port Harcourt to get back to where it has always been.
Before his appointment as the sole administrator of Rivers State, Vice Admiral Ibo Ete Ibas, retired, was the Chief of Naval Staff. He served in that capacity from July 2015 to January 2021 under President Muhammadu Buhari. He was accompanied by the Director of Energy Security in the Office of the National Security Advisor, Ojukaya Flag Amakri. In Port Harcourt, Osinachi Samuel, NTA News.
After initial apprehension, which followed the declaration of the state of emergency in the state by President Bola Tinubu, Ijoma Ogweke visited some public places for a situation report.
After the declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State by President Bola Tinubu, activities have continued unabated, though not without initial reluctance by some who were not sure of the likely outcomes. The peaceful disposition is evident in Port Harcourt and other parts of the state as business activities are picking up. Some traders who spoke with NTA News said people are going about their businesses unhindered, expressing the hope of a greater outcome in the days ahead.
Actually, that night, everywhere was very quiet. People are coming out now.
Watching everywhere is very, very dull. Even yesterday, we did not come out. Even sometimes we close early. We used to close very late, like 9 o'clock, 8, 10. But now once it's 6 o'clock, we have closed.
A visit to some schools also showed students taking part in various activities. Some of them comment.
Since the declaration of the state of emergency, the schools have been on, teachers have been coming, the opening and closing hours have been the same thing. Nothing has actually changed, but everybody is secure.
It has been okay. The school system is running smoothly, but no distraction. Students are learning, everything are okay.
The people are hopeful that the path to peaceful resolution of the political crisis in the state will be embraced by all. In Port Harcourt, Ijomu Gweke, NTA News.
And that's it from Port Harcourt. The news continues in Lagos.
Thank you for joining us in Lagos. I am Adeola Komiakiri. With Nigeria building the framework for a more robust, sustainable socio-economic structure, the country's bilateral relations are essential. Larry Belay takes a look at some benefits of the Nigeria-India bilateral relations.
Namaste to everyone.
Bilateral relations between India and Nigeria have existed since November 1958 when India established its diplomatic office in Lagos. The relationship cut across trade, technology, health, tourism, political, economic and cultural affairs.
During the recent visit of our Prime Minister Honorable Narendra Modi to Nigeria in November 2024, there were several areas of strategic interest that were discussed, be it defense, be it education, healthcare, fintech. All these areas, maritime security, were definitely discussed, and India has offered all assistance that we can to Nigeria in all the areas that Nigeria considers its priorities and requirements.
India is one of Nigeria's largest trading partners, and the trade volume between them runs in billions of dollars. The two countries have since discovered the need to open new vistas in trade and economic relationship, particularly as Nigeria is keen on diversifying its economy.
We must leverage on our potential, India's potential as well as Nigeria's potential, and to be able to create and harness that potential, to be able to plug into the global value chains, and that is very, very critical.
Being the fifth largest economy in the world, India has maintained its position as a strategic partner committed to Nigeria's developmental goals. In Lagos, Lanre Bilayi, NTA News.
National symbols are national identities through which a people or a country can easily be identified and respected. How much do Nigerians know about them, and what level of respect and value have they on these symbols? Our correspondent went to town, and here are the findings.
Nigeria, we For many, symbols are indispensable in defining who a person really is and where they come from. They are visual representations of one's values, cultures, and aspirations. The Nigerian national symbols can also be seen as values that should be inculcated into the subconsciousness of every citizen. Unfortunately, not all are aware of this, and so not much respect and regard is given to the symbols.
When I hear national anthem that time, everybody will just stand one place. You will stand up and then you will go on the sing and say, "Arise to compatriots." Small people where them grow now, they don't respect them elders. That's why they don't respect national anthem in this country again.
A patriotic Nigerian is supposed to stand at attention whenever the national anthem is rendered, salute the national flag, and accord respect to elders, traditional and religious leaders.
Inspire faith, inspire patriotism, about your country. When you exhibit the right values, the children will pick it. They understand the importance of, patriotism, the flag, the country, and all that.
Another common aspect is the way the nation's currency, the naira notes, are being handled. Some even go to the extent of spraying and stepping on them at social events.
The way our people handle money here is too bad. They put it anywhere, they handle it anyhow, they don't even care about the money.
These respondents believe that there's an urgent need for a reorientation to redirect the minds of Nigerians towards the national symbols.
Indeed, reorientation is the key word. And so we're done with our contribution from Lagos. We will return you to Dennis in Abuja for more Nationwide.
Many thanks, Diola. All right, let's go back to our top story from the National Assembly, where the Senate has approved President Bola Tinubu's proclamation of a state of emergency in Rivers State in line with provisions of Section 305 of the Constitution. This came after an executive session. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, read out the resolutions.
In a closed session, received briefing from the President of the Senate on the circumstances of the proclamation of a state of emergency declared by Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President, Commander-in-Chief, Federal Republic of Nigeria, on the state of affairs in Rivers State. And the Senate resolved as follows. 1. The Senate invokes the powers conferred on it by Section 305, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, and approve the proclamation of state of emergency declared by Mr. President in Rivers State of Nigeria. The Senate further directs that the declaration of the state of emergency stated in the proclamation document and the mandate of Mr. President to review, and hereby mandates the President to review and even to terminate the state of emergency at any given time, but not later than 6 months. The Senate further resolved that Section 11, subsection 4 be invoked, providing the National Assembly the authority to set up a joint ad hoc committee of both chambers to oversight the administration of Rivers State henceforth. The Senate further resolves that a committee of eminent Nigerians be set up to reconcile the warring groups within the government of Rivers State within the period of the state of emergency in Rivers State. The Senate further resolved that a committee to reconcile the warring factions in Rivers State should consist of eminent Nigerians. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the closed session?
Well, the House of Representatives has also approved the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State, along with the 6-month suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, and all elected members of the State Assembly, as announced by President Bola Tinubu. This followed a unanimous voice vote in favor of the presidential proclamation. National Assembly correspondent Mitaire Ikmen reports.
Session preceded the commencement of plenary, leading to the suspension of all items on the order paper to entertain the presidential request.
I hereby forward the consideration of the House of Representatives copies of the official Gazette of the State of Emergency Proclamation 2025. I wish, in view of the grave and urgent situation that has necessitated its issuance, to particularly commend this proclamation to the House of Representatives for consideration and approval in line with the Constitution.
Some lawmakers had insisted on a quorum before the debate.
Mr. Speaker, this is a constitutional.
Yes,
Can we do a head count, Mr. Speaker?
So that Nigerians will know that we are not circumventing the Constitution.
I want the House to note that today's plenary is being attended by 243 members based on our attendance registers.
That settled, lawmakers proceeded to make amendments to the presidential proclamation of emergency rule in Rivers State, including allowing the National Assembly to legislate for the state during the period in line with Section 11 of the Constitution.
I listened to Mr. President's proclamation where he said that the sole administrator will be reporting to the Federal Executive Council. Mr. Speaker, I disagree, with that position and insist that the provision of Section 11(4) of the Constitution should take precedence over that.
That a committee of eminent Nigerians be set up to mediate, to ensure that there is peace in Rivers State.
And I believe that the responsibility we have now is how do we recreate the platform for Rivers to move forward.
But the president can terminate, review the state of emergency at any time within the period, but not later than 6 months.
All amendments were passed, paving the way for a voice vote.
Are we ready for the question? Are we ready? Those in support of this request of Mr. President as amended should say aye. Aye. Those in support of this request from Mr. President as amended should say aye. Those against should say nay. There is have it.
Lawmakers described the unanimous resolution as the making of history.
If I'm to speak my mind, I'm one of those that suffered this very, very decisive decision in Plateau State. But Plateau State got better after the state of emergency.
So I think the president has acted by the dictates of the Constitution. It is we now, the parliamentarians, that would crystallize these legislative and constitutional provisions to make for the peace and good governance of Nigeria, particularly Rivers State.
Communication of the resolutions of both chambers of the National Assembly to the President takes immediate effect. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikmen, NTA News.
All right, let's now join Osinachi Samuel live at the Government House in Port Harcourt for some updates. Hello, Osinachi. Tell us what's the situation like there?
Welcome to Government House, Port Harcourt. We just few hours ago, we received the sole administrator. He has resumed office, and on arrival, he had a very brief meeting with the head of service and permanent secretaries and some security commanders in the state that came around to receive him from the airport and all of that. And immediately after that, he had a very brief interaction with the media, although he has plans to give a robust information to the media later in the day. At the moment, he's brainstorming with some authorities on how to navigate. But he assured us during the interview that he has come to, not to fight, not for war, but to ensure sustainable peace in Rivers State. And his arrival is as a result of the development, and he has promised Rivers people that he is going to do everything within his powers to ensure sustainable peace in Rivers State. And outside that, I also tried to ask him about his impression while coming on arrival at the airport down to this place, and it was pleasant. It was pleasant, and we believe, and his body language is in tune with his words, that Rivers people should be expectant that everything is fine.
All right, Sinachi, many thanks for that update. Thank you. Let's turn our attention to other news now. President Bola Tinubu is fully committed to protecting the rights of all Nigerians. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris, at the 5th edition of the 2025 Ministerial Press Briefing, said the President remains a Democrat whose doors are open to constructive criticism and healthy opposition. Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara reports.
Ahead of the second-year anniversary of the Renewed Hope government, this platform is an opportunity for members of the Federal Executive Council to give account of stewardship as being coordinated by the Ministry of Information and National Orientation.
It equally serves as a platform to keep Nigerians informed about the ongoing policies and programs of the Tinubu administration to foster active citizens' engagement in the nation's governance process.
As the Nigerian Union of Journalists commemorates its 70th anniversary, the government spokesperson reassured press freedom in Nigeria.
I hereby take the liberty to reaffirm the commitment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration to upholding press freedom and creating a conducive environment for the media to practice in this country. This administration believes that a free and responsible press is essential for good governance, transparency, and national development.
So far, 9 ministers featured in the 2025 edition of the Ministerial Press Briefing in Abuja. Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Nigerians can now demand remedial action from controllers and processors who breach their data. This was as the Nigeria Data Protection Act directive was issued in Abuja. Ayodeji Makinde reports.
This is the Nigeria Data Protection Act General Application and Implementation Directive, NDPC Act Guide, issued with a view to address technical and organizational bottlenecks across 14 broad areas. As issues of breaches are recorded in the country, this document aligns with the provisions of the Constitution for the privacy of citizens, correspondence, telephone conversations, and telegraphic communications.
Data controllers and data processors don't even understand data privacy.
National Commissioner, Nigerian Data Protection Commission, Vincent Olatunji, notes that the NDPC Act Guide is geared towards safeguarding freedoms of Nigerians in the context of data privacy.
We are delighted to know that our remedial engagements with Nigerian organizations are yielding positive results gradually. With the issuance of this NDPC Act Guide, no organization can feign ignorance of its obligations under the law.
After 17 months of consultations, the NDPC Act General Application and Implementation Directive Guide will not only serve as a framework for data processors and controllers, but create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive in Nigeria's digital economic landscape. In Abuja, Ayodeji Makinde, NTA News.
8 deaths and more than 20 casualties have officially been confirmed by emergency authorities in Wednesday's truck crash explosion at the Kano Bridge along Nyanya-Kefi Expressway. Abdullahi Ajia, who has been monitoring developments since the incident happened, has more.
Well, in the aftermath of the Wednesday unfortunate accident at the Kano Bridge,
agencies are still taking stock of what had been burnt down by the accident.
So we should return back to the old timing. You know, where at a certain period of peak periods, these big vehicles should be stopped from mixing with smaller vehicles, and they can move later at night and so on. So that if such a thing happens, the chances are that we won't have human casualties.
What we did was triage. Those that sustained injuries, we immediately carried them to the various hospitals. Then the one that we carried last were the dead bodies.
We have 6 dead bodies, and this morning when we went through the hospitals, we have 2 dead bodies. About 8 people are in custom hospital, about 11 people are in national hospital, and about 10 they are also in the custom hospital.
Definitely, when we got here, there was heavy hold up, so we were waiting for traffic to go slow. The next thing was trailer don't fail brake, then boom, 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 boom. Next thing we hear was fire, outbreak. The everybody was running for his life. Myself, I saw fire in my face. I was trying to defend myself as I got these wounds. Then I ran out, had an explosion.
Meanwhile, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has expressed deep sadness over the unfortunate explosion which occurred on Wednesday at Kano Bridge along the Abuja-Kefi highway, leading to the loss of lives and property. The First Lady commiserates with the FCT minister, families of the deceased and the injured, affected business and property owners as well as the people of Abuja over the sad incidents. She urges owners and drivers of vehicles, especially articulated vehicles, to ensure the roadworthiness of their vehicles before putting them on the roads to avert a recurrence of such an incident, while praying God to grant the souls of the departed eternal rest and their families the fortitude to bear the irreplaceable loss. The First Lady also wishes those injured speedy recovery. Let's now join Charles in our Makadi Network Centre. Hello, Charles.
Thank you and a warm welcome to Makudi. I'm Charles Abba. Let's start with security matters, where the Benue State Police Command has confirmed the murder of one of its officers, Inspector Tefa Anyase, who died while conducting a raid on criminal hideout at Agwabi, Tombo Ward, Buruku local government area of the state. According to the police public relations officer, Sewese Anene, 12 bandits were neutralized in the incident, while others escaped with gunshot wounds. Items recovered from the bandits include 3 AK-47 rifles, 6 rounds of live ammunition, military camouflage, and charms. Similarly, operations carried out around Daudu and Makudi division led to the recovery of 7 locally made pistols, arrest of 5 suspected robbers, and 32 suspected cultists. While commiserating with the family and friends of the deceased officer, the Commissioner of Police, Hassan Habanet, prayed for the repose of his soul, as he also extolled the courage of the operatives involved in the operation. To foster speedy implementation of the National Identity Project of Unification and the 747 Pacts between leaders and citizens, a delegation of the National Orientation Agency in Benue State was at the NTA Network Center, Makudi, to sue for synergy to achieve its mandate. Grace Anyalewa Ichekwa has details.
Nigeria's misuse of the national symbols, including the national flag, anthem, and wrong presentation of socioeconomic identity, which often lead to disintegration, has drawn the attention of the National Orientation Agency to act on its mandate. The visit by the delegation from NOAA, Benue State Office, is to appeal for synergy between the organization and the Nigerian Television Authority so as to sensitize Benue citizens on government policies and programs.
So here under what we classify 747 program, we have 7 promises from the leaders and also have 7 obligations from the citizens. What is expected of us as citizens and what the leadership is supposed to also do. to ensure that the country moves smoothly.
Zonal Director, NTA Network Center, Makudi Pamdunyam, acknowledged the organization's mandate, which is hinged on promoting national values. He emphasized that NTA will do its best to ensure that all government policies and programs are brought to the doorsteps of the Benue people.
You are the right place for everyone to go and get it. We would do our best to ensure that at least if we have the opportunity, we will tell the world that don't get your national flag from anywhere. Go to National Orientation Agency.
The National Orientation Agency, under the leadership of the Director General, Malam Lanre Isa Onilu, is calling for national unity irrespective of tribe or religion, and an establishment of pacts between leaders and citizens called 7 for 7. In Makudi, Grace Ichepa, NTA News.
And that's the size of our contribution from Makudi. Nationwide continues in Jos after the timeout. Please stay.
Joining us in our Jos studio, General Officer Commanding 3 Division and Commander Operation Safe Haven, Major General Folusho Onyilola says he will sustain efforts to protect lives and property, prevent conflict and respond decisively to security threats in the joint operation areas. He was speaking at a stakeholders engagement in Mangu local government area of Plateau State ahead of the 2025 farming season. Bilkisu Nuhu reports.
As the farming season approaches, the General Officer Commanding 3 Division and Operation Safe Haven, Major General Folunsho Oyinlola says, for peaceful farming activities, there is need to engage stakeholders in the area. The theme for the engagement is consolidating on the security gains for a peaceful farming season. The commander reiterates the commitment of security agencies to protect lives and property as he calls on the people to work together for peaceful environment. Governor Caleb Mutfwang, represented by the Special Advisor on Workers' Affairs and Cooperation, Titus Alams, called on the people of the state to give peace a chance so as to enjoy more dividends of democracy.
We must on our own work on this peace. His Excellency has assured us, please let us give this gift that God has given us.
Various stakeholders comprising the traditional and religious leaders, Khan, JNI, community, women groups as well as youths in their submissions called on security agencies to do everything possible to restore peace and ensure that displaced persons return to their communities. The General Officer Commanding 3 Division and Commander Operation Safe Haven, in response to all the submissions, assures the people that all the security agencies will synergize to bring lasting peace to the area. In Jos, Bilkisu Nuhu, NTA News.
Management of the Jos Water Services Corporation is reaffirming its commitment to addressing water challenge being experienced by residents of Jos Metropolis. This was while receiving participants of the Senior Executive Course 47 from the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies NIPS as part of their study tour focused on the theme Blue Economy and Sustainable Development in Nigeria. Ndayang and Yebagang has details.
The visit is to deepen participants' understanding of water resource management and its critical role in Nigeria's sustainable development agenda. The delegation is to explore the challenges and opportunities in water resource management. Director General NIPS, represented by the Director of Studies, Nima Selman Man, stated that NIPS brought the Senior Executive Course 47 nominees to the Yakubu Gowon Dam to gain first-hand knowledge of water resource management and understand its impact on local economies and livelihoods. The Managing Director of the Jos Water Services Corporation, Apollo Samchi, highlighted ongoing efforts to improve water distribution across Plateau State and the significance of preserving the Yakubu Gowon Dam. He notes that the dam not only supplies potable water to residents, but also holds potential for hydroelectric power generation and tourism, contributing to the state's blue economy.
This very dam
which was constructed in 1981, supplies almost 80% of Jos and Bukuru metropolis.
The visit to the Yakubu Gowon Dam provided first-hand insight into the intersection of water infrastructure and sustainable development, reinforcing the need for collaborative efforts to maximize Nigeria's aqua resources. The participants are expected to present their findings as part of their final course report, contributing to national policy discourse on the blue economy. In Jos, Indenyan and the Abuja, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Jos. Dennis is still standing by in our Abuja studio.
Many thanks, Mary. Talking health now, did you know that your mouth could get you into trouble? Not just because of what you say, but because of how you take care of it. Now, in marking this year's World Oral Health Day, Elizabeth Omori in this report explores how poor oral hygiene does not only put your teeth at risk, but has consequences far beyond the mouth.
Start with something you need every day, a bright smile. It's more than just a confidence booster. It's a gateway to overall well-being. Let's imagine a scenario where this happens. Someone leans in for a conversation, and boom, an awkward, unpleasant odor fills the air.
Cannot kiss anybody with bad breath. What about infection? Okay, my head, I'm thinking infection.
Embarrassing. But beyond social discomfort, poor oral hygiene carries consequences that reach far beyond the mouth. Experts warn that conditions like tooth decay, gum disease, and halitosis don't just threaten your breath. They could put your heart at risk of respiratory infections and even worsen diabetes.
Probably when you are fasting or when you are taking some medication, so it can also be expelled out of your mouth. The kind of food that we eat, there's what we call acceptable smell, all right? There's what we call an organoleptic score that we use in scoring bad breath. So by the time there's a score to get to and it's no longer acceptable, at that point it becomes foul, it becomes pathologic, and it needs treatment.
From lips to the teeth, to the tongue, to the pharynx, all those parts of the mouth are so important to human beings that we have a special department that look after that.
Dental experts advise cutting down on sugary foods, brushing twice a day, and stop using your teeth as bottle openers. But experts say the government must step up by ensuring primary health centers provide accessible and affordable dental care. Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
Let's go to Ondo State now, where the rising cases of kidnapping in Akure have heightened fears among residents who are now calling for urgent and decisive interventions. They highlighted the need for enhanced intelligence gathering, increased security presence, and stronger community collaboration to combat the growing threat. Ifeoluwa Omoshule tells us more.
Investigations show that incidents of kidnapping in Ondo State are on the rise, disrupting public peace and raising concerns among residents.
We want government to help us to rescue our people.
All the tactical commanders were all pushed into the bush. No one of us rested. But the good news is that our efforts paid off thereafter.
Mr. Governor has promised that what we had in Ondo State in the last 2 weeks will never repeat itself again in the state. So for now, people can be rest assured that the state government will continue to prioritize their safety and their security.
The State Police Command confirmed receiving support from the Inspector General of Police and the state government with a focus on deploying technology-driven equipment to enhance crime-fighting efforts. In Akure, Ifeoluwa Omoshule, NTA News.
All right, deep soil investigation has commenced in earnest ahead of construction of the fourth flyover at the post office area in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. This followed 50% advance payments for the commencements of the project by the Borno state government. Umar Jimbarima reports.
One of the ambitions of Borno State government is to decongest the revered popular post office area, a major commercial hub situated at the heart of Maiduguri. The first pitch has already been dug following commencement of deep soil investigation for effective and efficient utilization of footings towards foundation laying for construction of the flyover, handled by the Ministry of Works and Housing. The fourth flyover so far in Borno State, built to be completed within 10 months, is expected to cost 15.9 billion naira.
This mega project is solely for them. We will enjoy it at the end of the project. We've seen that other projects, other flyovers we've done, it has decongested traffic and people are enjoying their ride there.
When completed, the monumental project is expected to not only beautify Maiduguri city, but reduce gridlock drastically that is usually being experienced around the post office area, which has over the years affected the free flow of traffic and commercial activities. In Maiduguri, Umar Jimbarima, NTA News.
On security, the newly deployed Kano State Commissioner of Police, Ibrahim Adamu Bakuri, has vowed to enforce a zero-tolerance policy on crime, pledging to combat thuggery, drug abuse, kidnapping and cyber crimes using advanced technology and community collaboration. He made the commitment during an engagement with the media in Kano. Elizabeth Yila Lamido reports.
In his first official engagement with the press and senior officers, newly appointed Commissioner of Police Ibrahim Adamu Bakuri reaffirmed his zero-tolerance policy on crime, vowing a proactive approach to security challenges.
Having obtained briefs from my predecessor, action plan was developed to address emerging issues that threaten the collective peace and security of Kano State.
As the 47th Commissioner of Police in Kano Command, Bakuri outlined plans to leverage advanced technology and intelligence to combat emerging threats. CP Bakuri further urged officers to uphold professionalism, discipline and respect for human rights, stressing his commitment to accountability and integrity in policy. In Kano, Elizabeth Yilalamido, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Defense Headquarters says it is not aware of communities negotiating with bandits or other criminal elements. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports that the Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Marcus Kangi, made the clarification at the Defense Headquarters, Abuja.
On 12th and 14th March,
it's time for an update on ongoing armed forces operations across the country. And the Director of Defense Media Operations is here with a file. Critical is the response to alleged negotiation with bandits in the northwest.
The military is conducting their operations according to the rules of engagement and code of conduct for internal security operations. So if any community goes about calling bandit for any reason, the military does not support that. We don't support that effort by the community.
Regarding the destruction of pipelines in Rivers State, the Director of Defense Media Operations stressed that the military and other security agencies will continue to ensure the protection of critical national infrastructure.
The armed forces of Nigeria are doing their job, protecting pipelines, anti-kidnapping, vandalism in the south-south, while the political masters look for solutions to the political crisis in Rivers State.
The Defense Headquarters stressed that it will continue to conduct its operations in line with standard rules of engagement and enjoin Nigerians to support security agencies with relevant information to enhance proactive internal security operations. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And next is Sports Update.